Because my confidence.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's lovely to have you all here today. This is one of the exciting times of the year for us meeting new students, and I can see that you all dug in and are meeting each other, which is a really important thing that we want to happen today, so that you know some people that you're studying with and that you'll see on campus next week when you come back for your classes. So welcome. Before we get into business, I'd like to acknowledge that I have the privilege of living and working on the unceded lands of the Kaurna people. The reason for being in the university is research and teaching and learning. And for all of the time of human habitation, these have been lands of science and learning, without which Kaurna people wouldn't have survived and thrived here for tens and thousands of years. And of course, I pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait elders and any Aboriginal people who are in the room. So we are here today to talk about health sciences. Welcome to our beautiful, still new campus here. For those of you who spent time at Bedford Park yesterday, you'll be aware that the facilities here are a lot flasher, particularly at Sturt campus. So this is a really nice place to study. Okay, so we've got a bit of a program planned for today, and it looks like a lot. A few of us will speak with you. One of the things that Jen, I'm going to ask Jen to stand up because I've been very remiss and come to make sure that you're on camera.
I'm going to introduce.
Is our first year transition coordinator, and Jen has been very busy emailing you all about today and asking you to fill out the Qualtrics survey so that we can make sure that what we present today actually meets your needs. So Jen will come back and talk to you in a minute, but she's done a lot of work making sure that hopefully you'll get what you need out of our session today.
Thank you.
So I'd like to now introduce Louisa, our academic lead. So Louisa is responsible for all of the people who teach the HLTH topics in your degree, and she'd just like to say a few words of welcome.
Hello everybody, I'm Dr. Louisa Matviachik and I am the academic lead. So I have a surname which when you look at it looks impossible to pronounce, so don't look at the spelling. It's Matviachik. But anyhow, all of us academics are very happy to be called by our first name, so you can just call me Louisa, that's fine. Welcome to this beautiful campus. This is our vertical university. It's the second year that it has been operating. And welcome to the Bachelor of Health Sciences course. So the Bachelor of Health Sciences course is the second largest course in our college. We have lots and lots of students who do it. And one of the availabilities is here at the city campus. And so welcome, hello. So I think we have about, how many people were enrolled for first year this year, Jane? Would it be about 60 people for city campus?
Roughly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so you'll see more than health science students in your classes because you do classes with people in other degrees.
So there'll be around 60 other people who are doing a similar course to yourself. And as Jane's saying, with a lot of the topics, you'll also come across a lot of other people from different courses. And I think that's one of the strengths of the Bachelor of Health Sciences is that it's very multidisciplinary. So I know a number of you are either doing what I call the straight BHS, or you might be specialising in something like therapy studies or one of the other options. So brings a lot of diversity to the group and a lot of interest. What else can I say about it? I don't want to talk too much.
It's a great degree.
Pardon? It is a great degree. I'm really bad at talking too much, so I'm going to try and keep it short. It's a really great degree, and Jane, who is your course coordinator, and Jen, who's the first year transition course coordinator, will tell you everything that you need to know in this session. And you'll also be introduced to some of the other academics who will be teaching the first year topics here at City Campus. So when you see us, come and say hello, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, ask any questions, okay? So we're here to support you during your 3 years, and no question is silly. And it is a great course. I love it, absolutely love it. I've been in health sciences for about 18 months. Prior to that, I was in nutrition and dietetics because that's my background. And prior to that, I was in practice for 25 years. So I was working with a lot of people who have graduated through the Bachelor of Health Science and other degrees here at university in the allied health space. So it is a great degree. All right, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'll introduce myself properly now. So my role, and the reason that I'm talking to you a lot today, is because I'm the course coordinator for health sciences. And from your perspective, that means two things. One is that I'm responsible for the quality of your course, and making sure that what we offer on paper is what you get in practice. And the second thing that's most relevant to you is that I'm responsible for keeping an eye on your well-being and your progress through your degree. So I'm one of your go-to people. If you have questions, or if you get stuck on anything, or you think that there's some barriers to study, there are others as well. The university is really keen to make sure that students don't feel shy about asking questions. And if one of the current themes of today will be ask questions. Okay. So this is the best email address to contact me on if you do have questions for me as course coordinator. My personal email address gets lots of emails from all sorts of people, but if it comes to this address, I know it's from a student, so I can prioritise it. So I encourage you to take note of that. The slides will be posted in Flow. You'll be able to find them, but you can also see that email address dotted around Flow, and it's also in the emails that came to you about the session today. So, your courses. So, do we have anybody who's doing the diploma? Excellent, good. And the associate degree? And so everybody else is doing a bachelor's degree in health sciences? Okay, good. So, the structure of your program is that we have these, what we call core topics. So everybody who does a Bachelor of Health Science does these 10 topics. In first year, you should do these first 5 that are listed here, and then 3 option topics as well. So you get to choose topics that are offered at this campus that might either be an area that's of interest to you, or a topic that plays to your strength if one of your goals is to maximise your GPA. And we can chat with you about selecting those topics to help you think through what will be best for you, if that would be helpful to you. So you'll do those 8 topics in the first year of your degree. In the second year of your degree, there are 3 core topics. I will say that all of the topic coordinators for these topics are here today, and they'll chat to you about them before we go. So I won't talk about them too much. In second year, every year we have a research and study skills topic. Morgan will talk a little bit more about this, but one of our goals is to graduate you as critical users of health research, which is a key skill that the community and AHPRA, who registers health professionals, expects of health professionals these days. And the other 2 topics are a topic that looks at health from a sociological perspective and a topic that looks at health from a psychological perspective. One of the things that characterises the BHS, and one of the reasons that I think it's such a great degree, is that in addition to learning about health from the perspective of inside the body, a lot of our topics look at health from the perspective of outside of the body. And that outside perspective, that ability to step back from an individual you're working with and think about the context of their health and why they're with you as a health professional at that time is important for you in providing the best care that you can for that person. And in addition to the 3 core topics, you'll take 5 other topics. So currently, if you're in therapy studies, there are in second year 4 other topics that are specified in your study plan or recommended, and then an elective. And if you're in the degree with no specialisation, then you can select 5 topics anywhere across the university at the moment. That may change a little bit next year. And we'll talk to you about that if it does. And then in third year, there are 2 core topics. One is, again, building on these research skills and study skills that you have, thinking about your career post-BHS, but also learning about how law and ethics apply to practice in the healthcare system. Really interesting topic with lots of tricky questions that we look into. And then in that third year, you'll take 6 other topics. If you're in therapy studies, 4 of those topics, I believe, are specified, and then you have 2 electives or 2 option topics that you can take. And if you're in the BHS with no specialisation, then currently they're all elective topics, which can be a bit overwhelming to choose 6 electives from a large number, but we can help you sort through those choices as well. One of the important things that I need to say is that unless you have credit for this topic here, Health 1010 Research and Study Skills, you should be enrolled in it this semester. Okay, this is a topic that sets you up with some really important skills that will support you in other topics. And in some of the other topics, we assume that you've done the work in this topic when we start setting you with tasks. And we don't teach you the basic skills for those tasks because we assume that you've done them in this topic. So make sure that your enrolment includes that topic if you haven't already done it or got credit for it. And the other thing that I need to point out is the topic codes. So all Flinders University topic codes have 4 letters and 4 numerals. And the HLTH topics are the health science topics. They're generally the ones that we run. And then the 4-digit number that comes after that is unique to the topic with these letters. The first digit in that 4-digit number denotes the year level at which the topic is taught. So you'll see all the first year topics start with a 1, second year topics start with a 2, third year topics start with a 3. And then those numbers aren't just for show. The expectations about your skills as a student are higher in these topics than they are in those ones. So our very strong recommendation is don't enrol in second year topics until you've finished all your first year topics. Of course, if you've got credit for topics and you've done some previous study, it might be that you probably will need to enrol in some second year topics, but limit those until you've finished all of the first year topics for your own sanity, but also for your grade point average. Is there any questions about the study plan? Does everybody feel like they're enrolled? You've got all of the right topics and you've registered for tutorials and you know what you're doing next week? Okay, so if anything comes up, that Health Sciences email address is a good place to start. Okay, so I've talked to these dot points here, that you take additional topics. All right, this is not working very well for me. It would be better if I was left-handed. Yeah. I'm so right-handed that I'm going to struggle. Okay, so where can health sciences lead to? So this is one of the questions that students wanted answered. in some of the replies to the survey that Jen sent out to you. So these are the most common reasons why people are doing the standalone BHS. That they want to eventually do one of these programs. Sometimes it's to get into medicine. That's a little bit less common with us, but there are people who do that and who do it successfully. So we call these 3 double degrees. So health sciences, occupational therapy, health sciences, physio, and health sciences, optometry. Mostly people are interested in doing these 2. If you complete the first year of the BHS and gain entry into either the physio or OT double degrees, depending on which topics you selected, you can get credit for a full year of study. So if you think that that's your plan, it's worth just chatting with me or one of the team and making sure that you're in the topics that suit your purposes. Okay. Of course, the first thing is to get a strong GPA, and then the second thing is to look at what topics you'll get credit for. It's possible to also get credit for core topics that you've completed in first year if you go into the optometry double degree. And we know quite a few students come to us hoping to transfer to paramedicine after a year with us, and there's some limited credit in paramedicine. It just doesn't have the same overlap in topics as the other degrees have. When you're finished, there's quite a wide range of programs that you could go on if you wanted to qualify as a health professional. Rather than going into the double degree for OT or physio, you could wait and go directly into the masters, one of those programs. There are prerequisite topics. If you're in a therapy studies major, the study plan allows for you to complete all of the prerequisites, and again we can check the topics that you're enrolling in and make sure you're on the right track. The Master of Audiology and Master of Speech Pathology don't have any prerequisites, and both of those have 5 places that are set aside for health science graduates who meet entry requirements. They don't tend to be the health professions that are high on people's radar, but they're both great professions, so they're worth thinking about. We always recommend that you have a plan A, a plan B and a plan C. So if you don't already have a plan B and a plan C, this week's a good time to start thinking about making sure that you have a number of options when you finish your degree. The Graduate Diploma in Environmental Health Practice has some prerequisite topics which can easily be met in health sciences. And this is a fully online 1-year program that will qualify you to be an environmental health officer. There's some information about this program on our BHS General Information Flow site. It's an area where employers really struggle to fill jobs. So if it's something that you might be interested in, I recommend that you have a look. And people also go on to teaching, social work or public health. Those don't tend to have prerequisites, but depending on an area you want to teach in, you do need to have some undergraduate topics to teach in particular curriculum areas, particularly at high school. So there's a wide range of things that you can do with your BHS in terms of further study.
So Jane, with that, so what you described were 2 options. One would be for students if they want to finish first year or second year and then apply through SATAC for a lateral transfer into one of the others. And then the other one you described was when they complete their degree, you can then apply for postgraduate studies like a master's or something similar. So Jane's the person to always keep in touch with because Jane knows everything and she's your course coordinator. So if you have aspirations, check in with Jane regularly to make sure that your study plan will lead you to where you want to go, okay? And also about processes for applying for SATAC, whether you're doing a lateral transfer or you're going to apply for something when you finish your degree. And Jane, there's some supports about this as well with the career services, but also on our general
Yep.
flow page, which I forgot to mention in the introduction. Did you want to just mention those two?
So we have a flow site that you should all be able to see, which is called something like the BHS General Information Flow Site. We need to change that name so it's Health Sciences Group. And on that flow site, there is links to information about careers and future study opportunities that you can look at. We work very closely with the Careers Service, who will post things on there. So there's a bunch of career-related events coming up over the next few weeks that have been posted up there, and we usually try and during teaching time post announcements to let you know when we've updated information, so that you can keep up to date with it. Does that cover? Yeah. Just for the record, I don't know everything. And we're not going to tell you everything you need to know today, but we are going to tell you everything you need to know to survive next week, which I think it will be a pretty good start. All right, and then career opportunities. So not everybody wants to be a clinical health professional. Okay? So there's lots of different kinds of work that you can apply yourself to with a health science degree. And again, the Career Service are a great source of advice about that. And I mentioned the 3 research and study skills topic. One of the things that you'll do through those is start to think about what will my career look like when I finish my degree. And that applies even to our students who are in the program where they will go through and qualify as a physio or an OT. They still need to be thinking about their career planning in week 1, in semester 1, and Morgan will talk a little bit more about that. So this is an example of some of the jobs that we know health science graduates have been employed in. I was talking last week to a graduate who is working for an organisation that identifies young people with disabilities who have leadership potential and works with them to develop their leadership skills so that they can work to lead the policy agenda around policies that affect people with disability. So you'll learn quite a bit of stuff. You know, there's lots of stuff to learn and remember in our degree. You'll also develop a whole bunch of skills that are transferable to a whole range of roles. And one of the things that you'll do in the research and study skills topic and be able to do with the career service is to pull out and be explicit with yourself about what skills you've developed and then use that information to sell yourself to future employers. And there's a bunch of places people work. Okay. So for those of you who are here today, and I apologise, I didn't update this slide. Most of you will be in one of these 2 programs, and I gather we've got somebody here who's in the diploma. So when these slides go up into Flow, you'll be able to use these links to click on what we call the course rule for your course. And the course rule is what the university is promising to offer you throughout your studies, the topics that you'll do. And then if you do those topics as we specify, you'll qualify for your degree. So it's part of the contract between the university and you. It's worth reading through that, bookmark it, so that you can go back and check which topics you should be doing and any other information that's relevant to your degree. So for example, there's an 8-year time limit on completing the BHS. So there's details in there that would be worth you knowing about and being aware of. Okay, essentials. So this is about making sure that you're set for week 1. Free Wi-Fi. You'll use a lot of data while you're at uni. Okay, use the free Wi-Fi. Once you've logged into EduRoam, the network that is used by universities. You'll have access to free Wi-Fi on just about any university campus in Australia. So if you meet your friends on Adelaide Uni campus or UniSA campus, you'll be able to log into the Wi-Fi there as a Flinders University student. Okay, there's a new student information page. From the sounds of things, you're all pretty okay with your enrolments and registrations, but this has step-by-step instructions for anybody who wants to go back and check anything. And student ID card. Student ID cards don't get used on campus quite as much as they used to because a lot of things happen electronically, but they're useful to have, particularly for student discounts. And if you're using public transport, you'll need it to use a student concession Metro card or fare. And it's a self-serve system, and you can order those from the kiosk here in the student centre. Step-by-step instructions about how to enrol and register. Sounds like you're all over it, but if you need to go back and review, you'll be able to find this slide in Flow. Okay, so we've talked about Flow a bit. So have you all managed to find Flow? Okay, so Flow is short for Flinders Learning Online, which is a learning management system that we use at Flinders, and most of you would be familiar with something similar if you've been in a South Australian high school in the last few years. So a place where people put resources and files and where you submit your assignments. Flow has a separate site for each of the topics that you're enrolled in. So you should be able to see a tile for all of your topics. If you can't see one for all of your topics, it's worth going back and checking to make sure that you are enrolled correctly. And then there'll be a bunch of tiles for other things like the BHS General Information Flow site, the Student Learning Support Service. I think you'll probably be able to see a library tile as well. So there are lots of useful tiles, courses in Flow for you to look at. You might hear people talking about Canvas. So Flow is what we call our learning management system, but Canvas is the software that it's built in. And so sometimes people use Canvas and Flow interchangeably, not to be confused with Canva, which is what you use to make infographics. So you should be able to see all of your topics now. And there's information about Flow and textbooks in the orientation planner. So there's a lot of resources to help you work through that. We have a pretty consistent format for our topics. So when you open up a weekly module, generally you'll see 4 sections. One is an introduction that tells you what the week will be about. One is a section called learning content or learning activities, and that will perhaps have some recorded presentations for you to watch, some readings for you to do. A third one that says apply your learning. That will almost always include attending your tutorial, but there might be some other activities that you can do as well. And then a review section, which will have some bit of a summary. It might have a self-check quiz so that you can do a bit of a check to see if you've got your head around all of the key concepts for the week. And it might talk to you about how this week links with assessment or any upcoming assessments, and also introduce next week to you. So over time, you'll be able to get into a bit of a rhythm about how Flow works, but give yourself a bit of time early on. So textbooks, there is a textbook site, but most of the Flow sites will have all of the information about what you will need to read each week in the Flow site. And if there is a textbook, that will be discussed early on in the topic. Most of your TCs will have recorded a short introduction video, and they'll talk about the textbook there, but there'll also be information about textbooks if they're needed in the topic overview section of the Flow page. All of your readings will be listed in Flow, and where they're available electronically, and particularly from the library, there'll be a link to electronic sources for you there. Trying to make it as easy as possible for you as we can. Okay, so library. So there's a small physical library on this campus, but you all have access to a huge electronic library on your laptops. And so the library is a really valuable resource. When you're doing your research for assignments, unless you're told otherwise, use the library if you can. Find It at Flinders is a great search engine that will tell you everything that's in the Flinders library that relates to a search term that you put in. You can download your searches. There are links to the electronic resources, and the library only holds good quality resources. So you know that that's a pretty safe place to do your research for assignments. As soon as you go out of the library and into the web, it's a bit of a no man's land out there in terms of information. A lot of it's not high quality and shouldn't be used for university or professional writing. So start with the library, try and stick with that and develop your skills there. So there's librarians, there's a library service here, there's usually somebody available, and there's a kiosk service as well. So when you spend time on campus, you'll be able to get a sense about how that will work best for you. The other thing that's here that's not really library, but it is kind of library, is that there are laptops available for loan by students. So they're in the student centre. They're in lockers. You just put in your details. I think you swipe your card, and you can borrow them. And you need to make sure that you plug them back in again when you put them back. Okay, so security. I'm just thinking, I'm not sure that we have security here 24/7 because the campus isn't open those hours. But as long as the campus is open, security is here. And often they hang around down on the ground floor or at the top of the escalator. But the number for security is on your student card, but I also recommend that you pop it into your phone in case you need it. They are useful in case of all kinds of emergencies. If they're not the right person to call, they'll be able to tell you who is the right person to call. And Rowena will talk a little bit more about security in a few minutes. Okay. Apparently I'm going to talk more about security. Apologies. So security offer an escort service. Okay? So if you're walking to any of these kind of places, after hours, it's dark, you're not sure that you'll be safe, and you can call security and they will provide an escort for you as soon as they're possibly able to. And then there's a routine service as well. Okay. While you're a student at Flinders University is your place of work, and you're entitled to have a safe workplace. So we take safety very seriously on campus, and Rowena will talk a little bit more about this as well. You may witness something that you all be subject to something that you feel is unsafe. If you're a bystander, it would be great if you felt comfortable speaking up, but we don't expect to put your own safety at risk to do that. But reporting any safety issues that you see does a few things, and Rowena will talk about these in more detail, but most importantly for now, it actually helps us to understand where we've got safety issues that we need to address as a university. But Rowena will talk a little bit more about other reasons why that's important, and she'll do that right now.
Thank you. I might use the other side as well.
Yeah, okay.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our week. Hopefully you're having so much fun. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Yeah, it's working? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
The other one is red.
Yeah. Now, can you hear me now? Perfect. So hi again. Hopefully enjoying your all week so far. We wish you're going to have an amazing semester ahead. As Jane mentioned, we're always here to support you. Your academic, excelling in your academic achievement is our priority, but also being safe, you also deserve it. So you deserve to feel safe and supported. And in my role as co-chair of RNA, which is Respect Now Always, we aim to raise awareness related to sexual assault and harassment, as well increase the visibility of available support on campus. Now, one of the things, if you maybe or someone you know, they've experienced sexual assault or harassment, whether it is on campus or not, it is important, especially if it is on campus, it is important that you support it, you report it, sorry. So what I mean by this, in case you leave at any time from the uni, if something wrong happened to you, straight away let us know. One of the things you can do, you can report it, either you go to student.flinders.edu.au/safety on campus, and then you're going to find a link and you reported it. Or even sometimes you can see that some of these flyers, either this one or this one, they're going to be posted on the screens across the campus. And they're going to have similar to this barcode at the end. Now, in case it's going to be very hard for you to report it, and it is a case of emergency, then it's very important that you dial and you call straight away the security. Now, you'll be able to find the security number on the back of your student ID card, and also it's important that you save the phone number. Now, in terms of the support, the main reason we want you to report any case, especially if it's going to happen on campus, and hopefully not, is that they're going to be proper support. You'll be provided with proper support, as well for us to increase the safety measures on campus. Now, lodging a report doesn't mean it is a formal complaint. Maybe when you're going to meet the counselor, then they're going to discuss with you whether you want to, let's say, lodge a proper formal complaint with the police. Now, a few of the support that we can provide, or it is available in Australia or as well in South Australia. So support for victims and survivors of sexual assault or even sexual harassment will be supported by the counseling and disability services. And you're going to find later on they've got availability always on campus. Also, we've got the National Sexual Assault, Family and Domestic Violence Counseling Line, which is 1800 Respect. You can call them, discuss things, what's going on. Also, across this river to the other side, if you go close to the stadium, you're going to find Yarrow Place. So Yarrow Place, they are the leaders, they are the main one in South Australia that play a role in terms of collecting any forensic evidence in case of any sexual harassment. And the other one, they work with the with the Women's and Children Hospital. And they provide heaps of counseling service and support for any victims of even domestic violence or even sexual harassment. So keep in mind about the services. Also, we've got within Flinders Student Equal Opportunity Advisor. They can help you and support you. All you need to do is just to contact them, let them know what happened and what's going on. And again, also we've got the Commission for Equal Opportunity. Now, as Jane mentioned, sometimes you're going to need maybe to leave a bit late, and later on it's going to be a bit dark. So one of the things that Flinders, they're going to be after hours Flinders escort, security escort. And if we go back to the other previous slide.
It's not listening to me. I'll just do it this way.
Thank you. You're going to be able to find, when you're going to come in from the main entrance of the campus, there's going to be a timetable about at what time the security will be available to escort you if you want to go maybe to the festival car park lift, or even to the Adelaide Railway Station, to the tram stop in front of the Adelaide Railway Station, or even to the switch accommodation. So feel free to call them in case as well you're feeling unsafe, or even outside the time that's been mentioned when you reach the campus. Because if you're doing a human bioscience, we'll be finishing fortnightly on Thursday at 7 o'clock. So it's going to be very dark. So it's important that you dial and you save the security number so that you are safe. Okay? So at any time you're feeling unsafe, dial the security, ask for help, especially if you are around this campus, because your safety as well, it is our priority, okay? And make sure, any case you feel any unacceptable behavior, report it, okay? And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
So enough about safety, but it's I hope the message has come home to you that it's really a priority for the university. Scholarships. So often students think scholarships are only for students who get great marks, and I'm sure that will be all of you. But actually there's lots of reasons why people can get scholarships, and they're not just for high-performing students. So this slide will be in Flow, and there's a link there to information about scholarships. I recommend that you have a look. You might be surprised to see what sorts of scholarships are available and the uses that you can put the funds to. So I recommend that you check that out just to make sure that you're not missing out on something that might be useful to you. Okay. All right, so finding your way at Flinders, has anybody had a look through this orientation topic in Flow? All right, so we're doing a skate across some really key touch points today, some things that you'll need to have in place so that next week runs smoothly. But there's lots of other things to learn about studying at Flinders, and the Finding Your Way at Flinders will help you find out other things that you need to know that probably will take a little bit of time for you to sit down and read through and get your head around and don't make sense in a session like this. But it will be a useful exercise for you to do to prepare you for when you hit the ground next week. So orientation at Flinders is not just a 1 week exercise. Orientation at Flinders runs for 4 weeks. So this week we have these welcome sessions. We try and make sure that we give you an opportunity to meet some other students who will be studying your course, and a lot of you were chatting before the session. And there's also some activities that are happening on the lower levels of this campus today. So one of the things that we'll suggest that you do before you leave is look at the Student Services Lounge. We'll actually take you on a bit of a tour before you leave if you want to, and show you around the place. But Student Services are on level 2. They have a kiosk system, but whenever I've used it, they've arrived pretty quickly to help me out. So they're great. They're people who know how things work at Flinders, and particularly how things work at City Campus. So they can be a great resource for you. Okay, so you're here for your welcome session, which is great. And so there are some other sessions that you may have registered for. Did anybody register for any of the other sessions that are here? You did? Has that happened yet?
Yeah, yesterday.
Was it useful?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. So I'll remember that because I can recommend it. Okay. Key dates for semester 1. So this week is our week. Teaching starts next week, which means if you're enrolled in topics that have workshops next week, you should be back on campus for those. Generally, for most of our topics, you'll find your time on campus in workshops most beneficial if you've done the preparation work that is listed beforehand, because often the tutorials are there to help clarify and deepen your understanding of the concepts and to think about how you can apply them to real-world problems. So knowing a bit about what that content is in the first place will make those sessions much more useful to you. You can continue to enrol in topics until the end of week 2 of teaching. I don't recommend that you switch around topics, but if we discover that there's an issue with your enrolment, we've got a couple of weeks to fix it. The census date is also a really important date. So census is the date at which the university literally takes the census of all students who are enrolled in topics and records it for the Commonwealth Government, and that decides who needs to pay HECS. So if you withdraw from a topic any time up until Friday week 5, that topic will be removed from your student record, and any HECS liability that you have will be reversed. So if you find that you have bitten off more than you can chew with the number of topics that you're doing, or if your circumstances change, or if you realise perhaps you've rolled in an option topic that is not really for you, then you've got until then to withdraw from that topic and for it to have no impact on your finances or your GPA. You can still withdraw later in the semester. The difference between withdrawing by week 5 and withdrawing by week 9 is that if you withdraw in week 9, even though it won't affect your GPA, you'll still be liable for the HECS for the topic. And you can continue to withdraw until about week 12, but if you do, it will show as a fail grade. If you think that you want to withdraw for academic reasons, please talk to the topic coordinator or me first. Okay? We can explore options. There might not be any, but there might be some, and it's worth us having a conversation before you make that decision. And potentially assessments can go right through until the end of July. So if you're planning travel straight after your assignments are in, just be aware that if you do need to come back for a deferred or a supplementary assessment, that you might need to be available to do those. Hopefully that won't be the case, but worth knowing. Okay, I'm going to hand back over to Jen. So remember I talked about the 5 core topics in first year? And if you're in therapy studies and doing the health promotion for health professionals topic, I'm going to change it, Jane, I'm sorry. I'll also introduce you to an additional topic coordinator.
Is that working? Yeah, excellent. Hi, everyone. I'm Jen. Again, you would have heard from me a couple of times over email recently, and thank you so much for completing the survey and letting us know what you wanted to get out of today, what you wanted to learn about. One of the key... Oh, did I press something?
No, it's me.
That was you. Okay. One of the key messages that came through that survey was that you wanted to meet staff. You wanted to get to know us. You wanted to learn about the topics, so you wanted to know what types of assessments there were going to be in topics, and you also wanted to know what the expectations were going to be across the different topics. So we've invited all of the topic coordinators here from the first year topics to talk a little bit about the topic, but also to introduce themselves. We've also asked them to stay so that they can engage in a social activity later, so that you can get to know them on a personal level as well. So we'll start with Roweda, who's going to talk with you about human bioscience.
So hi again. So with the human bioscience, it's going to provide you with the foundational knowledge related to human anatomy and physiology. So every week we'll be talking about and discussing one of the body systems. Except week 1, it's going to be more about anatomy, about the planes, about the sections, and later on during week 2, we're going to be discussing more about physiology and homeostasis and chemistry. And then from week 3 till week 12, we'll be covering one of the body systems, whether we're going to talk about skeletal system, muscular system, and so on. Now, in terms of the assessment pieces, for this topic, we've got 3 assessment pieces. The first one, it is a lab report, which is going to be based on one of the lab activities or activities we're going to do here on campus, whether it's going to be recorded or you're going to do it as hands-on activity. And then this is going to be the lab report. Then the second one will be a group work assessment piece, which is about artifact creation. And the final one will be as end of semester quiz. Now, in terms of attendance and participation, as you know, this topic, you're going to find that we're going to have weekly workshop 1 from week 1 till week 5, and as well from week 7 till week 11. We're going to have fortnightly workshop 2, which going to be, the workshop 1 will be from 2:30 till 5:30. Then the workshop 2 fortnightly, it's going to be from 6 till 7. And then during week 6 and week 12, we're going to go to STIRT at campus, and we're going to have an intensive lab sessions, okay? So it's going to be 4 hour each, week 6 and week 12. Now, why you need to attend your sessions? One of the reasons is that end of semester quiz will include questions from these weekly activities. You're going to be asked a question, what type of experiment did you do during the session? What was your research question? Because in this topic we use inquiry-based learning. You need to come up with a research question. We run the experiment, you collect the data, and then you analyze it. So it's going to be more based on the experiments that you're going to do. And that's why participation is very important. Now, in terms of the tips, the first tip is that you need to participate, try to attend as much as you can all the sessions. Before you're going to attend your session, make sure you're going to watch all the recorded lectures. In case you've got, you need to complete any labeling for the questions in your workbook, make sure you're going to do it before you're going to attend your session. And it's going to be a fun topic. One of the nice things we use body painting when we cover musculoskeletal system. It's going to be very interactive, hands-on activities. Okay, so I promise you're going to have so much fun. When we go to START, we'll be doing few dissections as well. He will be doing few dissections for example, for a kidney as lamb kidney or lamb brain and even lamb heart as well, cow eye. So it's going to be a very nice mix of heaps of nice experiments, activities we're going to do. And at the end, you'll be able to understand your body and how it functions. And this is everything, and I wish you all the best. And make sure if you've got any questions to email me, okay? I'm happy to help.
Thanks so much, Ruwaida. One thing you'll notice is that we all think our topics are really fun and that you should come along. So next we have Morgan, who's going to talk with you about research and study skills.
Hi everyone and welcome. It's so nice to see you all here today. I am the topic coordinator for research and study skills, and as the name suggests, you will be learning study skills and research skills. So the study skills are intended to set you up to succeed throughout your entire course. And at the beginning, you will do a learning plan. And we work with the Careers Centre to explore potential career options for you. And it may seem like a long way off, but it is better to start thinking about those types of things as early as possible. In terms of, and so the other things that we look at is academic writing, referencing, and those types of things. So we set you up with those skills that transfer to every other topic that you'll be doing as part of your degree. And the same with the research skills. As part of being a health practitioner, you are expected to be evidence-based practitioners. And so that means being able to locate and critically appraise evidence-based knowledge and research. And so that is what we do in this topic. We start out at this first level showing you how to locate evidence-based material and how to read it, so journal articles, scientific journal articles, that type of thing, how to read those articles and how to critically think about the information that is in there. And then in the follow-on topics in second and third year, you build upon those skills so that by the time you graduate, you are, as we discussed, those critical thinkers about research, and you are solid evidence-based practitioners when you graduate. And I think that's everything that I need to say about the topic. Oh, sorry, you want to know about your assessment items. Okay, so we have a learning plan and a career plan that is part of your assessment items. They are individual items and they are reflection pieces. And reflection pieces are different types of writing to academic writing. That's when you're writing reflections, that is your personal experience. You are reflecting on your own thoughts, beliefs and patterns, and you're writing from that first person perspective because it is your reflection. We will also do an infographic, so there is a range of, I think, 5 different health-related topics that you'll get to choose from. You'll produce an infographic, and the skills that you learn in that is being able to take this scientific evidence-based knowledge and translate it in terms that the public can understand. And you'll do that as a group assignment together, and then you will, on that same topic that you pick, you will write an essay, which is a piece of academic writing which differentiates from the reflective writing that I was talking about. So across this topic you learn 3 very important types of writing. You do your reflective piece, you do your academic writing, and then you learn to create something that is intended for the public or other consumers of health knowledge. And I think now that's all that I had to say. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Morgan. We now have Tracy Ann, who takes a really long topic name, Strengths-Based Approaches to Health, Working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Peoples.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, scholars. Welcome. Yes, my name's Tracy Ann Rankin. I'm a non-Aboriginal woman and 6th generation settler coloniser, which means I have a particular relationship with this place and space. And I recognise that this has been a place of learning, teaching, discovering, researching, general education since time immemorial, which is as long as anyone can remember. And I pay my respects to Kaurna elders and Kaurna ancestors. And I pay my respects to elders and ancestors of any Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander peoples that are in the room with us today. So yes, Jen, it is very long. Jane's is coming in second as the longest. We've got a lot of work to do. That's why we try and compact it into these names. So strengths-based approaches. Has anyone heard of that concept before? It's not very common in a problem-based world. But we'll be exploring what that is in the first 4 weeks of the topic. We'll look at language and terminology and how they shape the way that we think, the way that we act, the way that we understand things. And really importantly, when we're critical thinkers, we think about how language and terminology actually shape the way we might think about things that are now seeming normal. So, that's a normal way to think about that. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe that's just dominant ways of thinking about that, and they can be very problematic, particularly when they construct Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples in deficit ways. So that's the first 4 weeks, and that leads to an assignment called a news article analysis. And we will support you towards that with the content and the tutorials. And then the next 4 weeks after that, we look at the larger ideas, which is the context of Australia. So Australian history, Australia past, present and future. We look at colonialism as a project, as an actual series of ongoing events. We look at racism, we look at privilege, we look at intersectionality, all of these really big ideas that can help us understand what shapes health and wellbeing outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. And then at the end of those 4 weeks, we have my favourite assignment, video reflection. And I say that because after 8 weeks, scholars have had a chance to kind of get their head around what we're doing here, and they apply it to the ideas, to the concepts, to the content, but also to yourselves. So I get to hear about your synthesising of these ideas in relation to the topic, and it's very powerful and very moving. Some of my colleagues have heard me come out exhilarated at what I've been seeing. And then the last 4 weeks, we start to introduce cultural safety, which is where we're headed to. So as healthcare practitioners, and not just healthcare practitioners, a whole range of practitioners, professionals, need to have a sense of what cultural safety is, what it isn't, and how to apply a framework. So I'm very, very fortunate to work with some really wonderful colleagues who think about this a lot, and they're going to help us shape our understanding as well. And at the end of that 4 weeks is an essay. Now, I love an essay. I love writing them, I love reading them, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I get that. And Morgan was saying that there's an essay in 10:10, so there'll be some essay practice. But we also have a workshop in week 11 that will support you to work towards that essay as well. You won't actually see me until second semester because that's when we do this topic. But I have taught here before at the City campus and I really, really enjoy it. We're in a slightly smaller room with whiteboards around and these kinds of desks. And just anecdotally, the students who came to tutorials regularly, maybe they couldn't come to every 12, but they came to most, they were really able to get their head around the big ideas in the topic. So that's me giving you some anecdotal advice. Come to the tutorials, participate. If you don't understand something, that's totally normal. We'll chew it through in the tutorials, we'll sound it out, we'll listen to each other, and that's really invaluable. So that can be probably applied to all of your tutorials, but I just know that from teaching this topic here. So scholars, good luck. I look forward to seeing you next semester. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks, Tracy Ann. So hi, I'm Jen. I'm also the topic coordinator for interpersonal and interprofessional communication. So that topic's run in both semester 1 and semester 2 here at Festival Plaza, but doing it straight up in semester 1's a really good idea because it's a great way to make friends in health sciences, because as the name suggests, the topic involves a lot of practicing of your communication skills. So we aim to develop your foundational communication skills within the context of health and human services, but these skills are useful no matter where you go, and they're going to be useful in your personal lives as well. So you'll learn about the importance of listening and how to actively listen to people, how to frame questions, how to express empathy and validate people's feelings, those types of skills. But actually at the very beginning where we start is an exploration of who you are, because self-awareness is the foundation of effective communication. So we talk about your personality, your strengths, those types of things. And we talk about what reflective practice is. So reflective practice is a really big part of this topic. We engage in reflective practice every week. We ask you to do that on your own before coming to tutorial, and then come prepared to discuss your reflections and your learnings each week with your peers. You'll explore group work and teamwork. So there's a group work assessment in the topic. So you really will get to meet other people and develop those strong bonds with others. You'll also learn about conflict management. You'll learn about communicating online. You'll learn about interprofessional practice and what that means. And we talk about so many different topics. It's really fun. So we have some personal reflection assessments. We have a group work assessment, and that's a group oral presentation. And when students learn that at the beginning of the semester, they often really freak out and they feel quite anxious about the idea that they need to stand up in front of people and give an oral presentation. But it's so well supported throughout the semester, and you work in teams and you're supported by those peers, and often students are really proud of themselves after they complete their oral presentation at the end of the semester, and it's a really fantastic skill to develop. So we encourage you to come along it's required that you come along to tutorials each week, and if you can't come along, you need to email your tutor to let them know that you can't come along. I just saw your tutor outside the glass and I was going to get them to come in and meet you, but she's really fantastic. She's really experienced with teaching and also with communication skills. So your tutor will support you throughout the semester to develop your skills, and then at the end of the semester there's a final demonstration of your skills in which you record yourself with a peer talking and demonstrating all of the skills you've learnt throughout the semester. So it's a really great topic. I hear from students that they really enjoy coming along to the classes. We do a lot of role plays and a lot of fun activities. They find that useful for developing their skills, but also for making connections with others as well. So it's really important to come along next week. Let's say next week comes around and you haven't done any of the preparation for week 1, that's fine. Still come along to your class. It's great if you do your preparation each week before coming along, but let's say there's a week where you haven't had the time, still come along. It's going to be really valuable for you to come along to your classes. So that's my top tip for this topic. Okay, so now we've got Jane. I'll let you introduce
Yeah. So can I reiterate that? I did say earlier that you'll get the most out of your tutorials if you're doing the preparation before you go. But you're still better off going unprepared than not going at all. So go to your tutorials if you possibly can. So 1306, Understanding Health and Illness and Health and Social Care in Australia, is one of those examples that I talked about earlier where we think about health from outside of the body. The topic's in 3 parts. In the first 5 weeks, we look at things that affect health, determinants of health, and particularly social determinants of health. And social determinants of health are the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work and age. And so these are things often outside of people's control that influence their health. And it's considered important for health professionals to understand those factors because understanding them will help you to better be able to provide top quality care for people that you work with. The work that we do in those 5 weeks is assessed with an essay where you get to choose a health condition, and this year we're looking at stroke and osteoporosis, and choose a couple of social determinants from a list that we provide for you and write about how those social determinants affect the development of that condition. In the next 5 weeks, we shift our focus a little bit and start looking at the healthcare system. And so we'll introduce you to some of the kinds of structures or organisations and people who work in the health system, particularly in clinical roles, and look at some of the issues with our healthcare system, and through that lens help you to learn more about how the health system works in Australia. And sort of a key question we'll be asking you to start thinking about is, do we have a good healthcare system in Australia? In what ways is it good? What are some of the ways that it could be improved? And what does that mean for people who use the system, but also for you working in the system as future health professionals as well? And those 5 weeks are assessed with a case study where you have about a 1-page description. You can choose, it'll probably be 3 this year. Choose a case study that you like that talks about a person's experience using health services and asks you to write a bit about the condition, but also to choose one service that is named in the case, so that could be your future health profession, and to look at how policy or program affects access to that service. So starting to think about, well, how does my future profession fit into all of this? And then to come back to social determinants again, and this time think about how social determinants affect what happens to a person once they have the condition, rather than how they influence whether or not somebody develops the condition. And then in the last 2 weeks, we'll switch our focus again and start asking you to think about what it means to be a health professional, in the sense that you're now developing expertise in health and the healthcare system. And you'll have 2 roles in the healthcare system. Sometimes you'll be a user of services, which most of you will have had experience in, but you'll be a user of services now who's developing a whole bunch of knowledge and skills by virtue of the fact that you're learning about health and the health system, and that can create some tensions. So we'll start getting you to think about how you might manage those. And the final piece of assessment for the topic is a video reflection. You can record it in the privacy of your own home, and when you're happy with it, submit it. In week 3, we're going to ask you by week 3 to have submitted a small postcard assignment where we ask you to tell us who you think is more responsible for the health of Australians. Is it individuals or government? And you have to take a position, and you have to give us 5 reasons to support your position. When you come back in week 13 with your video reflection, we're going to ask you to look back on what you said in week 3 and see if that's what you still think, or whether your position has changed having done the topic, and then identify things that you looked at in the topic that either confirmed your position or made you think about changing your position. That's all I have to say, isn't it? And all of that's in the video. That's the topic intro video in Flow.
Thanks, Jane. And also, it sounds like a few of our topics have video assessments, and there's so much support that's provided to students on how to record those videos and also how to submit them on Flow, so don't worry about that at all. So we've got another Jane to talk about health promotion for health professionals.
Hi everybody, this is a first semester only topic, so those that are taking part in it will be diving in next week. I'm Jane, I'm the topic coordinator for it, so you'll see me online a lot and probably chat with me over email and meet with me if you need to, but you'll have somebody called Sophie who will be doing your tutorials, and she'll be jumping in with you on a Wednesday morning into those. Our topic is an introduction to health promotion. So it's learning what it is, what it has been, what it's heading towards, how it's evolving and how it has evolved over the years. We'll be looking at different theories and frameworks as well, and building knowledge and skills each week. The workshops, we've got 2-hour workshops, which are fabulous. Time to really pull apart things and share ideas as well. Sorry. With the 2-hour workshops, there'll be a really good opportunity to share your ideas and what you're learning with your tutor and with your fellow classmates as well. So they are all small group activities, lots of time to talk and question things and explore things and practice things that are going in towards your assignments as well, which I know that students like to have those opportunities to practice and get feedback on. We've got 4 assignments. We've got a little cluster of independent quizzes that you complete throughout the semester, and then we've got 3 assignments where you pick a health issue. At the beginning of your assignments, you start with an infographic, so you're building the information and your knowledge and your resources and your research that you then take on to your next assignment, which is something that we call a concept map or a logic model. There might be completely new terms to you today, but you'll be learning about them in the topic and how to complete them and the theory behind them as well. And then you'll be taking it into your final assignment, building the knowledge, building your information and your resources to complete a recommendations report at the end of the semester. All of the assignments are independent ones, but where you'll get that opportunity to work with people and to explore things and talk about ideas and how you might be thinking about things the same or differently is in the workshops, which you'll have on the Wednesday morning. So I think that's about it.
Yeah. Sorry, I knew there was something else I needed to say. You'll do 1306 in semester 2, so don't be stressing out if it's not on your semester 1 enrolment, because it's not there yet.
Thank you so much for all of our topic coordinators coming along today, and they'll get a chance to introduce themselves to you more personally a little bit later when we do a social activity. Oh, am I going backwards? Oh, it's not working. It's not working.
Can we do that?
So I'm going to talk with you for about 10 minutes, just about first year and your transition to first year. So as Jane introduced earlier, I'm the first year transition coordinator, and it's my role to work with key other people at the university to make sure that you're supported in your transition to university, both academically and socially. I'm also available if you do have questions. So my email is on the slide there. Do reach out to me. I've emailed you a couple of times as well, so you should have my email and you can just reply to those emails if you do have questions, which some of you are starting to do. Thank you. So the literature tells us that the transition to university is really important and that the first year really matters, but that it can be challenging in some ways for first year students. So some people do come to university and are surprised at the difference in the expectations at university, and that there can be a higher standard than has been expected in previous learning situations. That's not the case for everyone, but is the case for some people, and that can be a bit of a shock. Sometimes students can start with an unrealistic expectation of how much time is needed. It doesn't sound like a lot when you've only got a 2-hour class in your timetable for a topic, but there's a lot of associated work that comes along with that. There's watching lectures, completing readings, any homework activity. So we do recommend, putting aside about 11 hours per week for each topic. So that starts to add up the more topics that you have, and that can then start to conflict with your other commitments in your life, whether that's working, maybe you have children, maybe you have sporting that you do, and it can be really tricky to juggle those different commitments. So that can be a challenge. And then that can also lead to having low motivation to study as well. Some students struggle to find motivation, and it can be really tricky if you're feeling isolated at university too, and you're not able to make those personal connections with others. But I don't want to dwell too much on the challenges that you're going to face. What I'd like to spend more time talking about is what can help you as you're transitioning to university. Sorry. Thank you, Jane. So a key way to start university is to be kind to yourself, because it can be really challenging to start studying in a new system. You've probably heard lots of new terms today. We use lots of acronyms. There's different administration processes than you're used to, and that can be quite confusing. So it's really important to not only be kind to yourself, but if you're not sure of something, ask someone. Whether it's your peers or staff around. And I know that keeps coming up. All of us keep saying, ask, please ask. But it's a really big one. There's no silly question to ask. And we're all here hoping that you'll come to us with your questions. I also wanted to acknowledge that for many students, it can be quite nerve-wracking starting university. There can be some concerns and some anxieties about starting university. And I wanted to acknowledge that that's really normal if you do have some concerns. It doesn't indicate that you're not coping, and it also doesn't indicate that you don't belong here. You all belong here, even if you do feel anxious or you have some concerns. I was a first in family student when I started many years ago, and I was very anxious starting university. My family couldn't support me because they'd never been to university. I had no idea what I was doing when I got here, and I started at Flinders years ago. And what helped me was to make friends and to talk to teachers. I had some fantastic teachers, and they taught me how to study. And through making friends, I could ask questions and we could navigate assignments together. So be kind to yourself if you are feeling a little bit anxious about starting university. That's completely normal. What can also help you to build some self-confidence at university is to seek to understand the topic expectations. And you're already doing that because you've let us know in the survey that you want to know about the expectations in the topics. Another way you can do that is to go onto the topic sites and make sure you're reading all of the information, going along to classes and asking questions. Your topic coordinators are going to work really hard to communicate with you the expectations in topics, the class or topic values, the communication expectations. Most of that will be provided to you on Flow, but also through the tutorials. The tutors work really hard to support you there as well. As part of that, it's really important to seek to understand the assessment expectations. So I find one of the key ways to do that is to go along to classes, because in most topics we'll explain the assessments in detail and answer questions in classes. So that's one important way. Another way is to read the marking rubric and to refer to marking rubrics when you're preparing your assignments, because that's what the markers are using to assess your work. So using the marking rubrics are a really key way to understand the assignment. And when you get feedback back on that assignment, I know it can be really scary to open up feedback, but if you put aside the space and time and you do it when you're in a good mind frame, it can be really important to engage with that feedback and then to apply it in later assignments. So these are some key ways that can help you build capability and self-confidence as you're navigating your first year. Also actively participating in university. So we've all said one of the best things you can do is come along to classes, but there are other things you could do. You could join clubs. Coming onto campus is really important. When I was in undergrad, I was on the student council, and that was a really good way to make friends and to understand the university more. So there are lots of different ways that you can get involved at university. Thanks, Jane. I've already gone on about this quite a bit, but developing personal connections is so key in your first year at university. So spending time on campus is really important if you can come here, but also for our online students, being on Flow and talking to people on the discussion forums and making connections there is also really important. So making friends is key. We'll start that today. We're going to do a social activity a little bit later where you get to meet everybody. But let's say you go to your class and you don't know anybody. Just sitting near someone and introducing yourself is a key way to make friends. But also your tutors and topic coordinators will work really hard to help you to make friends if that's a little bit too scary for you, which it is. It's hard to introduce yourself to someone. So we'll do lots of icebreakers and group activities and discussions so that you will meet other people and hopefully you'll start to make friends in that way. Group tasks and assessments are also another great way to make friends. And another way to develop personal connections at uni is with staff. So that's why we're all here today and why we're all giving you this warm welcome is because we want you to talk with us, and we'd love it if you came up and spoke to us and asked us questions and got to know us as people. Sometimes students can feel like we're authority figures and feel a little bit nervous about coming up to speak with us, but we would really like you to come up and speak with us. Get to know us as people, we'll get to know you as people, and then we can support you in your learning journey. I know in the interpersonal communication topic, we don't present ourselves as expert communicators. We present ourselves as being on the same lifelong journey as you to learn in this area and to develop our skills, and so we can make connections in that way. Another key way that can help you navigate first year at university is developing a sense of purpose. So when you're undertaking these topics, at first it might not seem like they're very relevant to you or where you're going. We will work really hard as staff to give you examples and show you the relevance of the content, but we also ask you to take the time to unpack how this content might be relevant to you in your future profession, but also maybe in your personal lives as well, or maybe in relation to bigger societal issues that we're facing. And as part of that, some goal setting for your personal future can help you as well and might lead to some motivation, which I'll come to in just a moment. So maybe I'll move on to that now. So I mentioned earlier that sometimes students can struggle to find the motivation to study. My key tip is not to wait for motivation. I wish I knew this in first year. I shared this yesterday and my colleagues were shocked, but I was not a very motivated student when I started university, and I would leave it to the last minute to start my assignments. So I didn't have the motivation. A lot of research tells us that actually action leads to motivation rather than the other way around, and that we shouldn't really be waiting for this motivation fairy, because the motivation fairy doesn't exist. So I learnt that in my PhD, which was probably way too late by that point. So it's good to learn that before you start your undergraduate degree, that it's not a good idea to wait for the motivation fairy, just in case they don't visit you. Instead, schedule in study. Take action first. So one of the key ways that I do that, and there's lots of ways to do it, because this can be challenging when you don't want to do something and you don't have the motivation. How do you get started? So I use the Pomodoro method, which just sets a short period of time to do the work in, so 20 minutes, and then you take a break. And I seem to be able to convince myself to do something for 20 minutes. It's not a very long period of time. Once I get started and I take action, then the motivation follows, and then I want to take more action, and often I don't actually end up taking the break in the end anyway, because the motivation is there, and then I can keep working. So to do that, sometimes it's important to break the work down. So if it's a big assessment, break it up into little steps, and then tick off the steps as you go. And sometimes it's important to give yourself rewards. Tori had a great example yesterday. Can I share it?
If you Google it, it's actually a method. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
Pomodoro, which you may not be able to spell. Look for the gummy bear method.
The gummy bear method. You can put a gummy bear at the bottom of your page, and once you've read that page, you get a gummy bear. Also a great method.
There's every paragraph, which I think is even better.
Yeah. You break it down how you need to get through the work. But these little rewards that we give ourselves can be really important. So taking breaks, giving yourself rewards, but also scheduling in that work. So many of you will be working probably outside of uni, or maybe you have other commitments. It's really important to think about when you're going to be performing that work and when you're going to be studying. Build it into your diary and your regular practice. So it's important to get organised now. You've probably signed up for your classes. You know how many you're undertaking. When you start next week, you'll learn what assignments you have. So note down the due dates for those assignments and think about how you're going to space that work out and make sure that you're keeping on track there. I think that's about it from me. So now I'm handing back over to Jane, who's going to talk with you about student reps, which is another great way to get involved at university.
Thanks, Jen. So I've already had a conversation with one of you today about being a student rep. We have a number of opportunities at Flinders for students to engage in the governance of the university. And one of them in particular is being either a course or a topic rep as a student. I am particularly responsible for recruiting and meeting with course reps. And I'll meet regularly with reps, and the benefit for the university is that we hear from students about what's happening for students in our topics and in our degree. For students generally, the benefit is that they have a rep that they can go and talk to, who can then liaise with me and the university about any issues that are coming up in topics or their degree. And the benefit for students who volunteer as reps is that you get great experience in playing that role, in understanding how the university works, and in developing skills that will be useful to you in future, and they always look good on your CV when you're applying for jobs. So we have some student reps already who were in place last year who will continue on this year, but we would really like some new first year reps, and particularly from City Campus, because your experience here is very different to the experience that students have down at Bedford Park. So I want to say week 1 or week 2, we'll be putting out a call for people to volunteer as student reps, and that will probably come through me, and you might also see other communication from the university about that. Also, FUSA, the Flinders University Student Association, who you're all automatically members of. FUSA is an organisation that is funded to work on behalf of students with the university. It provides advice and advocacy, but it also trains student reps in their role to understand what it is that they can do, and also to help them develop some skills to play that role well. And you may also find that there's a call for topic level reps for the topics that you're enrolled in as well. And in that role, you'll liaise between students in the topic and the topic coordinators as well, and the topic coordinators will contact you and ask you to volunteer via the flow site for each of the topics. So I really strongly recommend that you think about being a student rep, and to look at other opportunities that there are for you to become active as a student in the university. Are we doing services?
I think we're doing Q&A, and that's it.
Okay. Any questions at the moment? Have we answered all of the questions that you had in the survey? Have new questions come up? Okay. Anna's here. Oh, sorry. Apologies. Would you like to introduce Anna?
Yeah. So we've got a very special guest with us here today. Anna is here to talk with you about the services that you can access at City Campus. Thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you for the invitation. Hello, everyone. My name is, I'm one of the Student Success Wellbeing Advisors for Flinders. We're a team of 3 people. So my name is Ana Milena Diaz Leaño, very easy, huh? But no worries, because I am representing today my colleague, Melissa Sackley, which is in fact, the SWAT that works with your college. So that's easier, huh? The other is also Melissa. So it's Melissa 1, Melissa 2. You got the fortune to have Melissa 1, which is the person that trained me. But you can call me Anna, no worries. I'm from Colombia. I spent like primary school learning to write my whole name. So Anna, it's easier for you. However, what's the name of your SWA? SWA is the Student Success Wellbeing Advisor. Is? Who knows? Raise your hand. I just say it. Yeah, good. You want this? Catch it. Good. Okay, so what do we do at the university? We can assist you with get or keep your studies on track. So your lecturers were talking that sometimes, especially when you start at university, can be challenging that transition, especially if some of you are coming from high school where you have your teachers behind you all the time. Submit your work, give me your essay, where's your homework? Okay, I give you another week. Maybe you want to correct that bit. So here we have other services to help us with that, but that's something that, in this case, you might not have people behind you. Maybe you have to ask for that help. So we also help you to navigate the university system. So I'm going to explain to you, and you already heard your lecturers talking about some of the services, but I guess that probably you remember just 20% of it, because this is the first time. I'm not calling you dumb. That's happened to everyone. My background is in psychology, and it says that the first time we are facing new information, pretty much we can retain 30-40% of it if we are paying attention. So if you don't go into classes, you know how much you're going to retain? 0%. So I really encourage you, go to class, or if you miss class, reach out to your topic coordinator and just get back on track, okay? We can also point you out if you forget any of the things they talk about, flow, about registration, about whatever. So I brought some flyers today. So the first flyer you're going to find is this one. The Student Success Wellbeing Advisor, promoting free of charge. I'm not going to charge you for any of this. And you find our email there. So just send an email. And you can say, hi, Mel. I am this student. Can you please help me? What can I do to get into counseling services? And explain, but I don't remember. No worries, we can repeat the information because I know it's the first time and it's too many services to remember, okay? So if you want that, at the end, when I finish, please you just get up and immediately go quickly there and get the flyers that you think are handy for you, okay? So this is the first one, Student Success Wellbeing Advisors, and also we can help you with another thing. Sometimes you might have some things that are very easy to solve. So what can I do? I forgot about that deadline, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to ask one of the Janes or Jane about, give me a bit of an opportunity, can you help me and advocate, look, this is what happened. And if you want, then we can advocate for you. And maybe still they will decide, I'm not going to tell them what to do. They know the process anymore. Then Jane won't be so happy inviting me to these sessions. So, but there's always a solution. That's what I want to say. However, we are also like complex case managers. So sometimes in life, you're not only studying. You have a family, you have friends. Sometimes you get sick. Whatever is going on, maybe 3 things are happening at the same time. Someone got kicked out of the house and trying, to move out of the house, find another place, submit your assessments, study for the quiz. Too much things going on. You need help. Come talk to us. There are a lot of services also, even financial and counseling service, vouchers that we can give you for your groceries, for your metro. We have an officer on campus that can help you to find emergency room, accommodation, whatever you need. There's a lot of things to help you out. Please, or check or reach to us in our email or book an appointment in the QR code that is going to take us to our website. Okay? So any questions about that? No? Clear? So if the other things you don't remember, it doesn't matter. Just remember this. Get in touch with us and we'll help you out. Okay? That's it. Bye. No, I'm kidding. Next one. So we have another online version of the SWOT that is called Better You. This program or online website is as new as you. You know why? Because it was launched last week. So these are the bookmarks. If you're not interested in this, at least take the bookmarks. It's going to be handy for you in your studies this semester to mark all the things in the books of all the things you have to read. We have a bunch of them, so you want to take 2, 3, take it to someone else, you can do that. But Better You is like an online version of this was. And you can find their articles for your well-being, study skills. Also, they will link you to all the support services I'm mentioning here today. Yes? And also to other ones, because this is run by something that is called Oasis. So you find Oasis, which is a well-being center. It's mainly located at Bedford Park. And they're going to have things like the Flinders Community Market. So these work on Thursdays, 11 to 1 p.m. And they give a much like reduced price on grocery shop, but right now they have so much stock that they need to give things for free or it's going to get damaged. So if you need some shopping, go next Thursday, you're going to find very valuable things. But Oasis, they have a range of many programs like mindfulness for academic success, well-being ambassadors, studiology, the art and science of study. This is very handy for all of you. Forest World, Flinders Maze, chaplaincy, volunteering as well if you want to volunteer, and many others, ADHD 101. So there are like group sessions that you can do and get ahead of your studies. So this is Better You. I hope you can find this very handy as well. Next one. Counseling and disability services. So we have counselors here at City Campus, level 2. For counseling, maybe you need one-off, maybe you have breakup with your partner, you're feeling a bit down, you can have a counseling session for that. You have a mental health difficulty, a medical condition, family issues with your studies, you're feeling very stressed, you can have all that here. Also, if you need that, we have some cards over there, but as well that we have this one, you can find information, the email account to check or request you also have here their email account to request an appointment. The disability advisors as well, they can provide you with an access plan. Why is that important? Maybe some of you might have a mental health condition, a physical condition, chronic illness, or an illness at the moment, or you just, fall down the stairs, broke your arm, so unfortunate, you cannot ride at the moment. They can give you temporary access plans or for the length of your studies. That is going to provide you with reasonable adjustments for your studies. And that is very important to have if you have any of these, because then you can discuss those adjustments with your topic coordinators according to what is that in the access plan. The access plan is also for students that could be main carers or one of the carers of someone at your family, could be your parent, a sibling, that need this kind of care, so you can also have an access plan, okay? So any questions about this? Or you can just grab the information. We have another voucher for that. Another flyer, sorry. And I don't know what I did with it. It's here. Okay? Next one. Student Learning Support Services, SLSS. This is a service available to all the students. Normally, you're going to find them at the library. Here at City Campus, they are at level 4 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. if you want an advisory session in person. They're very helpful because when you're going to start writing your first essays, reports, study cases, and so on, or maybe group presentations, they can give you very good feedback about how to structure your studies to make it sound more academically. Someone here is international student? No? So you didn't have the thing like me that I was all the time confused with the English, and then that didn't sound English at all. So an SLSS advisor is very important. However, even if you are native speakers, that's not the same as academic writing. So it's very important for you. You want to have a 20-minute piece of advice about how you're going on your draft. Also, you're going to find in Flow, in your modules, like in the right side, there's going to be like a main menu. You're going to find something that is called Studiosity. Have you ever seen Studiosity before, or have Studiosity? So that is like the online, they have an online advisor there. So you can submit or talk to them and they can give you real feedback in a 20-minute session about your assignments, your structuring, and everything else. Okay? And well, they already talked about Flinders University Student Association, so they have all the clubs here. Even you can start a new club if you want. But they also have other services. They spoke already about academic advocacy. So sometimes, like if in the academic advocacy, it could be something related like I need to withdraw, but it's already after census date because something happened. And if there is like an exceptional life circumstance, they can help you out to put an application to get remissions of fees at the same time that maybe removing that failed grade because you maybe are withdrawing after the census date. That is only in case of exceptional life matters or health matters, okay? International student services, well, you already mentioned none of you are international student. However, they have other activities they organize, and they're very important. Next week, they're going to have Connect Week, and building and making those relationships as well, that those are mainly, well, initially were done for international students, but all domestic students are invited. My experience as an international student, I did my master's degree at the University of Queensland. I registered to one of these sessions, but it was a general one. I sat down, and when I was going to start talking to all the other students at my table, they all start talking in Chinese. Imagine me happening that I spent 10 years learning English and I couldn't speak with the people at the table because they were speaking in a language I couldn't understand. But I was like, please, that the lecturer is going to speak in English. Thank God the lecturer spoke in English. It was like an incredible amount of Chinese students, but then they start talking in English because I was there. Thank God. However, when the international students are coming here, we do that because we want to know Australian culture, and we also want to make friends with Australian people. So it would be so nice if you had the opportunity to learn or to know from other cultures to join to these activities, because you're going to be more than welcome. Next week, they're going to have something that is called the Amazing Race on Wednesday and Friday here at City Campus. So you can check in the orientation planner, register, and also you're going to have maybe free lunch and stuff. Okay? And Juncorinthi is a student center, dedicated service for Indigenous and Torres Strait and Aboriginal students. Here you can see all the ways they can be assisted. They have the Juncorinthi Center, which is at Bedford Park, next to the student center. It's a beautiful space. I don't know if some of you have seen it or walked by there. You have also there like study rooms. They have free tutoring, study skills officers. They help them with financial support, accommodation, but also there's going to be some study spaces here at the City Campus. Is level 4 or? I think it's at level 4. However, if I'm not sure, you can ask in level 2. If you don't identify as an Aboriginal student, but you know someone that can benefit from these services, please let them know that Juncorinthi is there for them. Okay? Pride Network is for all students and staff that are part of the LGBTQIA+ community. And they have several events as well, and training events like to be also safe at campus in a respectful environment. You can also, if you want to know more, scan the QR code and learn more about the Pride Network. And, well, Career Curious. We have a career and employability team at the university. They have work integrated learning advisors, and they also have the career readiness advisors. Normally, these are going to be embedded in your program, yes, but they also run several activities and university fairs, as well as they have the career hub that you can enter your career hub using your email account as well, and you can have all kind of information, and also having like one-on-one sessions for 20 minutes if you have any questions about careers or about how to apply for things. Also, they have someone that is called Sasha Lemon Space, which is an advisor that helps students that are looking seeking for jobs, or that would like to be successful at the job, and maybe they struggle with a disability or with a medical condition. So she can help those students to have a successful career, giving like very important and liaising them to employers that could be also very saying like kind and attentive to them. So well, thank you for having me today. And please, just maybe, do we have 1 minute for them to quickly take the flyers they would like to?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so please stand up and stretch your